Hey guys, it's Fusion here from the future. Just wanted to do a quick little preload to this video. This was a segment that I had recorded on my channel, or for my channel, about I think 2 weeks ago or so. Um, and was originally going to post it as a separate video because I ended up not posting that EG Bleed Blue podcast episode because of just kind of scheduling and with Kurrent and just things didn't really work out. So I ended up canceling it. But I had in mind that I wanted to keep this segment, this particular segment of the podcast that I had recorded as a separate video. And so that's why sometimes in the following video, you're going to see moments where maybe I reference to, going to the Counter Strike portion of the podcast. And that's just because this was originally going to be used for the podcast, but it didn't end up happening. But I thought it was important information. This is a video meant to enlighten everyone on just how amazing EG was in the past and why their fall from grace is just so dramatic, and just maybe not why that's the case, but just showing like how far they've truly fallen. Because I don't think a lot of people truly understand where EG used to be and where EG is now. Now, before this video starts, I would also just like to reference or mention Richard Lewis has come out with some incredible articles currently, as of me recording this and hope and probably of this video being posted. Um, the second part of Richard Lewis's Evil Geniuses um, dissection, I guess, has been released. And so I implore you guys to read those articles. It covers Richard Lewis covers interviews with ex EG employees, discussing the mismanagement that happened, not just in regards to the Counter Strike team, but in regards to every esports team that they have. And just hearing, stories from ex-EG employees is quite eye-opening. Maybe not for me in the sense that, like, obviously I've been a fan of EG, I've been following EG for so long that I know, or that I've heard the stories, and but it is eye-opening just to see the things that happened and the stories that are told and the reactions that Nicole has in regards to certain things that have happened within the management of the organization. And it's heartbreaking to read. It's been emotional reading it because it's just so sad to see an organization like this fall so poorly, and for it to be at the hands of the upper management, um, being the ones that really need to be like basically exercised out of this organization so that we can finally go back to the promised land. Which I'll be honest, even if Nicole gets removed, I don't know that that's enough. If Nicole gets removed, who's to say they don't Peak Six just doesn't put another henchman in their place, and the whole cycle just continues. Um, so it's scary times right now, but this is a video that I hope allows everyone to see just how successful EG was in the past and why we should hold them to the highest standards and why things need to change. And so, without further ado, guys, I hope you all enjoy, and I will be putting Richard Lewis's articles from his Substack. I will be posting those in the description of this video so that you can take a look at those. I highly implore you guys read those articles. You can either read them before this video or after this video, regardless. But they're just very, very good articles. So please check those out. And without further ado, guys, welcome to the video. Now, what is this going to be specifically coming from? So this is something I was thinking about, and I've mentioned this in the past, but this was something that I wanted to talk about because I saw a post from, I believe it was Ryan at Dust 2, and he was, granted, obviously the fan base, obviously going to be predominantly Counter Strike, but he made a tweet asking just the community, just what has been a bigger fall off, or something like that, um, EG or Astralis. And everyone picked Astralis. Everybody picked Astralis. I mean, there were not many people who picked EG. And it baffled me. It baffled me because, mind you, Ryan didn't ask what Counter-Strike team. He said what organization. You know? Uh, it's sad because not many people see EG for what they used to be. They don't remember it, or they weren't around at the time. And it's just so frustrating because the answer is clearly Evil Geniuses. Clearly. And this is why. Evil Geniuses is one of the most successful, storied esports organizations in the history of esports. They have been in so many different esports. They have found success in so many different esports that I don't care how many majors Astralis has won. If you talk about Astralis in any other esport, they are not going to care or know who the fuck you're talking about. In League of Legends, Astralis is an absolute joke, and they almost sold their LEC spot. Like, guys, Astralis is not a big name. If you think Astralis is a big name, it's probably because you're a Counter-Strike fan. And so you see that Astralis name and you quiver and tremble in fear because of all the majors they won. Because they have the best team in the history of Counter-Strike. But or at least in CS:GO. But Astralis has not had the level of organizational success that Evil Geniuses has had. They don't have the history that Evil Geniuses has. By far and away, this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, fall from grace you can have from an esports organization. Ever. It's terrible. Terrible. And so a lot of people are questioning probably, well, you say that, but what has Evil Geniuses actually done? Because that's what a lot of people were saying. Even in Counter-Strike, by the way, they were saying, well, EG wasn't even all that good, really, which is it just boggles my mind a little bit because EG was one of the best, if not the best team for a period of time. The end of 2018, they were at least competing for the number one spot in the world with Astralis and Team Liquid. And then in 2020, yes, admittedly during COVID, but during COVID, after they picked up Zeus, they were the best team. They were ranked number one in the world. They won the American Cologne event. They won, you know what I mean? But like they were ranked number one in the world in HLTV, and they went from that to not even qualifying for the qualifier for a major. And not only did they do that, they failed to qualify for the major the previous year. And they had at one point they were ranked like 100 and something, like 120 something or something like that in Counter Strike. Like, guys, that is an unbelievable fall from grace. Just within Counter Strike alone in Global Offensive for the past 5 years, that's an insane drop off. That's a drop off Astralis never wishes to find. The worst thing Astralis has had in terms of their drop off is they went from best team of all time to, hey, we missed out on the major, which is bad, but it's nothing compared to not qualifying for the qualifier for a major from North America. Like, that is egregious after being a number one team in the world at one point, just a couple years ago. So, just that alone to me doesn't make sense. But let's get into it a little bit farther, right? Because I think a lot of people don't really understand what Evil Geniuses is. So, um, like guys, you can go to any of these Wikipedia pages, by the way, on any of these other esports talking about Evil Geniuses, and they all start with the same, pretty much the same phrase, which is that Evil Geniuses is one of the oldest North American um, organizations in the history of esports, and is very successful and has had, you know, yeah, is one of the oldest North American professional gaming organizations. Founded in 1999, EG is known to have had highly successful players in every competitive game they feature, and is considered by many to be one of the most premier gaming organizations that exist today. Does that sound like Evil Geniuses now? Even remotely? The answer is no. Definitively no. It's not even close. That sounds like you're describing like a G2. You know what I mean? An organization that's just got a bunch of good teams and a bunch of esports and is competing in all of them to win. That is not what EG is anymore. They're not that. And it's depressing. It's depressing as fuck. Let's look at some of the results EG has had over their history, right? Because keep in mind, guys, Astralis won a lot of tournaments in Counter-Strike. They won, I think, 3 or 4 majors. It's late at night, man. I'm just going off the top of my head. They won a lot of majors. I think they won 4. I'm gonna look this up. I don't want to be wrong about this. How many majors did Astralis win? 4. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, they've won 4 majors. They've won a lot of big events, right? Didn't win a Cologne, but they've won a lot of big events, right? EG won. So EG in Dota 2, guys, in Dota 2. This is mind you, this is one of the esports that they still have a very good reputation in. In Dota 2, EG has EG has placed in the top 5 or 6, 5 to 6, has placed in the top 5 in 5 TIs. 5 TIs. In 4 of those TIs, they placed within the top 3 in 4 TIs. And in one of them, they won. They have been a top 3 team in multiple Dota 2 majors in the past couple of years, right? Incredibly successful Dota 2 division. Incredibly successful, right? In Halo, when they had a Halo team back in 2015 to 2017 or so, right? They won 2 Halo Championship Series seasons, both against CLG. They took second place in World Cyber Games all the way back in 2005. They won X Games Aspen 2016. Like, they have a bunch of very strong results. That's in Halo, guys. In Halo. All right. You move over to Quake, where EG was founded, right, as a clan way back in the day, and they have a lot of obviously very strong results in these Quake tournaments, guys. Like like lots. I'm talking like lots of top 5 finishes in these events, lots of top 3 finishes in these events. Mind you, in Quake, in these events, it's all very like it's individual players, and organizations will sponsor individual players and can send multiple individuals to events. Uh, in these events, there's a lot of players at these events, like 25, 30 players. Um, I'm talking EG had consistent top 3 to 5 ish results, really top placings. A lot of them coming at the hands of Da Hang, uh, who was just, I mean, at least, again, I wasn't watching Quake at the time or anything, but it seems to be like he was one of the best Quake players. Seems like Cypher always had. I noticed this. Cypher seemed to always have the upper hand on him, but Dahang had a lot of top results, and looks like he was an incredible player. Chance was also relatively good as well. So look, but lots of top 3s, lots of top 5s in S tier level events. You move over, and that's where they got started. You look over at World of Warcraft. They had a World of Warcraft team, top 2, in a lot of events. Won World Esports Masters 2009. World Cyber Games 2009 in Russia. They won. Just they had a guy named Grubby signed under them who had a lot of top placings for them. So like that's in World of Warcraft. StarCraft 2, they had players and a team. They had multiple individual players and then also team results as well, because you had player results like individual player tournaments and then also team tournaments as well. And I mean, I was reading the explanation here on StarCraft 2 and their history in StarCraft 2, and it seems like they impacted the scene quite heavily. They at one point even had a they hosted their own StarCraft 2 league called the Evil Geniuses Masters Cup Series. Multiple team houses. They even had a base out in Korea, and it seemed to have a strong impact on the Dota 2 scene. And so obviously the results in Dota 2 were relatively strong as well. Won some events, placed very well at multiple events, that sort of thing. Had a lot of like big names in Dota 2, like Idra. So look, Like they I don't know, like how much influence can you have in you know what I mean? Like how much influence can you have? And that's not even mentioning COD. Like that doesn't even mention COD where they won the CWL in 2018, just a couple years ago, guys. They won COD, Worlds. Um, that was in what is this, Modern Warfare or what is this? World War Two. World War Two. My bad. I don't know why. I was thinking Modern Warfare Two because that's the last game that I played, maybe, or it's one of the more recent ones. But no, World War Two was the one where they won, uh, you know, COD Worlds, with Aches. And, dude, that name, just the amount of nostalgia I get from seeing names like Aches and Apathy and TP and Crim6, and like, dude, it's crazy. But speaking of TP and Crim6, they played on Evil Geniuses during COD Ghost, which is when I was actually still playing Call of Duty. And at the time, I was a big Optic Gaming fan. I actually also like Team Caliber as well. But I was a big Optic Gaming fan because all of my friends were Optic Gaming fans and were huge fans of Nadeshot and Scumpy and all those guys, obviously. But dude, I remember when Optic would play. This is one of the reasons I've mentioned this multiple times. This is one of the reasons why when I heard EG was joining Counter Strike, I was losing my mind with excitement, and it actually gave me goosebumps. Was because when I used to watch, COD professional scene, and I would get terrified when Optic would have to play EG, man, because EG was a strong fucking team in COD Ghosts. They had a lot of top placings, always were just really, really just a super strong team, and like I never enjoyed when they played Evil Geniuses. That shit always scared the fuck out of me. They just seem like the bad boys of the scene. With just Aches in general is just like that. He was just seen as like fuck Aches, we don't like Aches. You know what I mean? And just being under the banner of Evil Geniuses, it just couldn't be any better for them in terms of the branding and whatnot. That's what I want EG to be. I want EG to be like that COD team where it was just like, you know, fucking you hated them. They were so fucking good that you hated them. They just like people like Aches just got on your fucking nerves. And on top of that, they were just smart. They were just better than everybody else, and it was just so fucking annoying to play against them. You know what I mean? That's what I want EG to be. That's how you fit into the whole, live evil and evil geniuses. Be a genius or whatever the fuck they're trying to use now. But like in my mind, when I think of those things, I think of be the best fucking team in the world and have people fucking hate you. Have people fucking hate you because you're that good. That's what I want the marketing to be around. Not this bullshit where we're just trying to attract people like, be evil in like a funny, goofy, like, oh wow, look at us, we're so evil. Slay, queen. Like, no, like that's not what I want EG to be, man. I want EG to be like, shit, dude, we're playing EG. Like, I do not want to play EG. Like, that shit scares me. I fucking hate that guy on the other team. They're always so, like, that's what I want them to be, and they're just not that. But, anyways, in my mind, when I think of Evil Geniuses, I think of that COD Ghost team because that's my memories of Evil Geniuses when I was playing Call of Duty and I was watching the pro scene at the time. But and it's just so fitting that Aches ended up joining EG again in 2018 and winning that world championship in 2018. I think that was also maybe even the last year that they had organizations that owned teams directly instead of having to own like the Minnesota Rocker or the Florida is it well I can't think of the it starts with an M, I think, but I can't think of the team name. Mutineers maybe, I don't know. But anyways, point being, that's all the results. That's all their history. Oh, and in Counter Strike, they had one of the best North American teams in the old CS days in like 2000 and fucking like 9, bro. Like people forget. Everyone loves Nothing, Jordan Nothing Gilbert. Oh, everyone thinks of Nothing, they think of Cloud9 and all that, right? Guess where Nothing started his fucking professional gaming career? Evil Geniuses, right? When he had that old school super sick fucking montage of nothing but headshots and all that shit. That was EG, or well, I don't know if he was on EG at the time, but he played for Evil Geniuses. He played for EG, bro. Like EG was the team that I think nothing even said like his dream when he was growing up was to be on the face of a or was to be on a like on a box. You know what I mean? On like on a box for a product. You know what I mean? And like I think EG did that. Like they he was good enough, and he when he was on EG and whatnot, like he was able to get that to live out that dream, I guess. I think might be wrong on that, but the point being, like they even have a picture of it. Look at this shit. I'll show you guys. They even have a picture of him. Get some fucking proof. Look at that. That is Jordan Nothing Gilbert right there. That is Jordan Nothing Gilbert. Look at that sexy ass logo. Look at that fucking logo. Look, there's Lurpus too. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? This is EG, man. This is the EG that I love right here. That's what I miss. Anyways, so to me, guys, my whole point in bringing that up is, to me, it's not even close. Evil Geniuses is quite clearly the organization that's fallen from grace the most. I mean, you look at the shit that's coming out now about the mismanagement of the organization, treating players like shit. This used to be an organization all the top players wanted to join. Now, I don't think that's the case. With all the news that's come out, I don't think people remember the old days of EG, and that is slowly and surely that old reputation of EG is fading away, and this new EG's reputation is starting to become more prevalent, and that's a problem because I think a lot of EG's previous signings were coming from the history and the previous success of the organization and that reputation for being the best. And I think honestly, it wouldn't shock me if when they're having sponsorship deals with people like Chevron and whatnot, whatever other sponsors they also want to have partnership deals with, it wouldn't surprise me if they try to leverage Evil Genius's previous successes to kind of emphasize hey, we're still doing that same thing. We're still striving for those championships. We're still the same organization. And that's not what they are anymore. My problem with Evil Geniuses, guys, is that they keep in the PR and everything. They'll say like, "Oh, we want to fight for championships and look how successful we've been and we want to continue to do that and we want to build upon our legacy and all that bullshit, all that PR bullcrap." That's not what EG is. That's not what EG was trying to be now. And so what EG's trying to be now is they want to be a budget org. They want to be an org that can find the young talent, that can find the young players in any esport, and they want to be able to develop that talent. And they want that talent to develop and be strong. And if it succeeds, they want to take all the credit for it. But when it fails, they want to be like, yeah, but we're just developing young talent. So give us the time. We just need more time. We need more resources. We're working with less. That's what they want. But that's not what EG's. It doesn't work because Nicole fucked up on this very important thing, which is that you took over a brand that is known for success, that is known for getting the best players from the best in the best esports, and is there to compete for championships, no matter what esport they're in. They don't give a fuck about player development. They don't give a fuck about talent development. They care about championships. They care about signing the best fucking players and winning championships. That is it. That is the end goal. And so it doesn't fly with the old heads, with the people who know what EG used to be. When you say, "Oh, well, we want to develop young talent," fuck that. Fuck that. They don't give a fuck. If you perform like this EG CS:GO team has been performing, they don't give a flying fuck that you're developing talent. They're asking questions. Why aren't you signing the best talent in Europe? Why aren't you signing a European team to fight for fucking championships when you have the money to do so? Right? That's what they're asking, and justifiably so. It's the same thing that I've been saying. And now I haven't been as so gung ho about it because I know that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, that isn't what EG is trying to do now. They don't give a fuck about championships. They're lying. And I understand it's like, what do you mean they don't care about winning? Obviously, everybody cares about winning. There's not a single fucking player or organization that doesn't care about winning. My point is, it's how they want to win. How they want to win. They can talk about how they want to win championships all fucking day. As far as I'm concerned, with this strategy they're currently employing, they will never win a CSGO major. Never. The only way that they can win a CSGO major is if the NA talent somehow, some way hits a golden fucking era and has incredible talent just popping out of nowhere. And they're able to capitalize because they're basically trying to develop the North American scene. And so those players come through, they become superstars, and they somehow luck into a way of winning a fucking major because they're just getting because they're benefiting off of the region, right? I'm sorry, but Nealon ain't gonna win you a major. He ain't gonna win you a major. I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm just saying when EG tells you they want to win championships, I don't fucking believe it. I don't fucking believe it. If you cared about championships, you would have signed Ye or Dicey. If you cared about championships, you would have signed a entirely European or a mostly European Counter-Strike roster, kept maybe 2 North American players, or at the very fucking least, signed 2 European players who are top tier fucking players and kept 3 North American players, right? So you could still play in NA. You would have done that instead. There are so many things. You know what I mean? Like it just boggles my mind. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. You're just spitting in my face. You're spitting in my face. You're getting off on a technicality. Well, of course we want to win championships. Who doesn't want to? Who doesn't want to win championships? By the methods that you're using, I can tell what you actually care about. You care about one thing only, pretty much, which is paying for a budget roster, having massive success, and then claiming all of that success for yourself and saying, "Look at how fantastic we are. We took these young players and we gave them an opportunity to succeed. We gave them the right chances, and they flourished and they won us a championship. Look at how great we are." But it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. And you ain't gonna do that in Counter Strike. Not with this fucking roster. It ain't happening. You're not gonna do it with NA players. Not right now. But if you want to develop NA talent, that's fine. I don't have a problem with developing NA talent, guys. I really don't. But own up to it. Obviously, nobody's going to go out there and say, "Look, we're not actually trying to win a major. We're just trying to, develop young players." But my problem is when you repeatedly say things like, "Oh no, we're trying to win championships and we're trying to do X, Y, and Z and all this other bullshit." It's just it frustrates me. It's one thing to ask for improvement. It's another thing when you're trying to act like you actually are with the philosophy that you're using, that it's a philosophy to generate championships and to continue that. And I say that because I know they're leveraging their previous success with that wasn't used by them, or that Nicole didn't manufacture. I know they're using that to generate things. They have to. They have to. You have to use EG's previous success to spur on any type of confidence. Because other than that, EG's just treated players like shit. The only success that they can lean on is the fact that they won the LCS spring split last year, you know, and that they were the best North American team at Worlds. Congratulations, you still didn't make it out of the group stage. So it doesn't really mean much. Um, you know, on top of that, you come up with all this news about how you mistreated Counter-Strike players in the past. You mistreated coaches. You've mistreated players in the League of Legends space. You mistreated players in the Dota 2 space. What you have to leverage your success that you had in 2009, your success that you had in 2013 when you didn't do anything with the roster. You know what I mean? Like you have no choice. So look, the old heads are frustrated because EG is a massive organization, and Thorn has even said this, that they are essentially probably the most successful North American esports organization in the history of esports. But or maybe the biggest. I can't remember the specific terminology he used, but this isn't good enough. It's just not good enough. And so the old heads are pissed because they're saying, "Why aren't you doing more? You have the resources. Go do it." And they just don't do it because it's not their philosophy. Their philosophy is that they want to develop young talent. The problem being, you're evil geniuses. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be signing the best players, or at least better players. Um, something with potential to win something. And so that's why the old heads are pissed, and the new people, don't get it. They see EG now and they just think shit. Literally, that's it. They just think they're shit at everything, which they pretty much are. I mean, I say that MOBAs are doing relatively well, minus the mistreatment of your players and being a shady as fuck organization. But and having shady fucking business practices and signing sponsorship deals with shady businesses to the point where your fan base is so fucking like ridiculous that they'll defend signing with Chevron as a sponsorship deal, which is just mental. But so I mean, it's just crazy. But the people who are new to the space, they don't know what EG was. They don't understand that they had all that success in all those different esports and they were competing for championships and everything they competed in. And they had a brand that had power behind it. They were a brand that influenced how scenes worked in a positive way. In a way where you looked at them and you were like, holy shit, they mean business. Now you look at them and you think, what a clown fest, what a fiasco, what a fiasco. Like they're a joke. They're a joke. It's just a completely different contrast. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this, because EG, they're not what they used to be, not even close. Not even close. And to sit there and think that an organization like Astralis has had as big of has had a greater fall off than EG, to me is unbelievable, and it's just not true. When you look at everything EG has accomplished in their history, what a legendary organization they are, all the things that they've done, the fact that they still, to this day, they get hires based off of their previous legacy. Why the fuck do you think Kassad wanted to join EG? Because they're a legendary fucking organization. He's even said it in the past, man. But when you treat people like shit, eventually people are going to start to realize you ain't those guys anymore. You're something else. You're a shadow of your former self. You're a shell. It's all fake. You're just riding the name and the brand to fit your appeal. And if you want any more emphasis on this, just look at how Nicole's handled the organization. She's changed everything about it. She's changed everything. Even teams that were having success, she's unceremoniously fired. Don't believe me? Ask Shopify Rebellion. Ask those players. Just saying. Just saying. So, anyways, relatively depressing segment. But hey, it's Evil Geniuses. It's always depressing here. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. But I also think it's important to mention the history of this organization, the legacy that they have, why people always expect so much from them. Why do the old guys expect so much from them, and the young people just think they're they're just a crock of shit? I mean, don't get me wrong, the old heads also think they're a piece of shit, but they know what they used to be, and so it disappoints them even more. And so I think it's important to know, why do people have those perspectives, and will EG actually do any of the things that the old people, the old guys want them to do? No, they won't, because it's not their philosophy anymore. That's not what they want to do. They don't want to sign the best players in the best regions of the best esports. That's too much money, too many resources. They don't want to waste that, even though they could. They don't want to use it. They just don't want to. It's not what their MO. It's not their MO. They don't want to deal with it. They want to be cheapskates. They want to have shady contracts. They want to, sign people for fucking nothing and reap the rewards of the success if it develops into anything good. That's what they want. And that's just how it is. So it sucks. I hate it. I wish we could go back to the ways that it used to be, what this organization used to be, what it used to stand for. But it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. And so but I do think it's important to give that context because what I don't want is for people to forget what EG used to be, because people won't hold them to the same standards, and it frustrates me because they should be held to those standards. They should be held to the standards of winning a major. They should be fighting for a major every year. Not literally in the sense of like being a top 2 or 3 team in the world, but they should be a top 10 team in the world definitely every single year in Counter-Strike. Easily. Top 10. Easily. Especially with where the scene's at right now, where all the teams are dog shit. Where the top 10 is a fucking joke. EG should 100% be in the top 10. Now, obviously, you look at their roster, they're not a top 10 team in the world type of roster. But they fucking should be, because they're evil geniuses. And that's just how it is. Is it unfair? Sure, maybe it is. Is it unfair to the coaches and the players? Is that too high of an expectation to have for them? Probably. But it doesn't fucking matter. It's evil geniuses. That's the expectation. It's like Chelsea right now in fucking Premier League. They're fucking awful. They're at the bottom half of the table in the Premier League. They're probably going to get shit on by Real Madrid on Tuesday. They have a lot of talent, but it's not there yet. Graham Potter probably shouldn't have been kicked yet, considering that, yes, the team struggled to score goals, but they had potential. They had a lot of scoring opportunities. They just couldn't capitalize on them. But you know why Graham Potter got kicked? Because it's fucking Chelsea. And if you don't perform the way that you're supposed to perform at Chelsea, and the standards aren't met, the fans will retaliate. They will get pissed off, and you will be fucking kicked. That is how it works. When you play for a big organization in anything, in any sport, if you don't live up to those standards, regardless if it's fair or not, you will be removed. It's just that simple. And so what I fear is that people coming into the scene don't know what EG is supposed to be, therefore they won't hold them to the same standards. And that isn't right, especially when you look at the resources that Evil Geniuses has. Like, yes, they've lost a lot of sponsorships as of recently because of themselves, not just because of the recession, but because of themselves. They'll probably use the recession as a scapegoat. It's not just the recession. They are also just shady as fuck. And so businesses, their sponsors have seen what they've done with with the Danny situation and whatnot, and things coming about, how they treated the old CSGO team, and they see the sponsors see this shit. They won't have it, so they leave. Monster Energy was a massive sponsor for EG. They've been sponsored with them for fucking ages. They're not there anymore, right? I fear that people will forget what EG was, and they won't hold them to the standard they should be held at. And just think, yeah, it's EG, they're shit, who cares, let's not talk about it. When in reality it should be, hey, EG is shit, let's dogpile them until they fucking do something they do something about it. And I know later on in the CS segment we're going to talk about how they're getting unnecessary hate. And that is true. But that's more so the players. The players are getting unnecessary hate, right? The organization deserves all the scrutiny in the world for what they've done, how they've mismanaged this whole situation. Every situation, it feels like they've mismanaged. So, in every esport, Rocket League mismanaged, Counter-Strike mismanaged, Dota 2 mismanaged. I know what you're thinking. What do you mean mismanaged in Dota 2? They have a successful team. They dropped their previous roster that was, if anything, just as, is roughly just as good. And is had players that were legendary to the EG organization, but they got rid of them. Why? Because EG wanted something different. They want to get rid of the old regime. They don't want the old regime. They want to live off of the past glories of the old regime, but they don't want to actually support the old regime. So they removed those players. That's why. They also had shady contracts with old players who are now coming back and suing evil geniuses because, shady business practices. In League of Legends, the Danny situation. Need I say more? They have mismanaged every esport they've been in. So, they deserve all the criticism in the world. All of it. Every last drop. The players on EG, on the CSGO team right now, they don't deserve it. And we'll talk about why. At least not to the level that they're getting it at. But in terms of this organization, they need to be held to the highest standard because that is what Evil Geniuses is and should be and was in the past and and forever should stay as, because it is who they are. It is what that organization was founded off of. It was founded off of success. And right now, you're not seeing it. And with that, I now leave you to the Counter-Strike section. I hope you all enjoyed this segment. Leave your thoughts below. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on Evil Geniuses now? Did you know some of the successes they've had in the past? Or is it something that you're not aware of and that I've now been able to kind of help show you that what Evil Geniuses actually is? Or is it something that you did know but don't really think it's too important anymore? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let me know your thoughts. Always interested to hear them. And yeah, enjoy the Counter-Strike section.